I know you probably asked a couple of Saquon questions. My position hasn't changed on that from a couple weeks ago. Every conversation that I have about Saquon will be private.
Is that a concern on your end that he feels that way about negotiations that are supposed to be private?
Yeah, everything that I have to say about Saquon will remain private.
When you make your plans for the future, like, for the season, are you planning as if he's going to be there?
I'm just planning for today.
Possibility of what?
I'm just planning for today. Have a good practice.
Well, you obviously have to do roster construction. No?
Yeah, I'm just worried about today right now, Jordan.
Because he's so important to the team, can something like that become a distraction eventually? From your experience as a coach.
I'm just focused on today, Pat.
You can see that index finger on the right hand working feverishly. Out of view, he thought, but there's some tension there. He wants to just get through this. He's trying to play that Bill Belichick game. He has a lot of things he'd like to say, but I'm just going to say I'm focused on today and having a great practice. Brian Daboll, the coach of the year for 2022, has his work cut out for him with Saquon Barkley not there, and who knows what's ultimately going to happen. July 17th is the real day there. That's the day. That's the deadline for the long-term deal. They either get it done or they don't. Barkley's not happy with how they've been handling it. I think he got their attention. They're going to shut up and just work behind the scenes to try to get a deal done with Saquon that keeps him around over the long haul. And I would like to think that they're capable of doing that and that they're interested in doing that.
I would think so. Saquon, he's been a good New York Giant. He does right. He acts the right way on and off the field. Battled through injury. I know the Giants like him and want him to be a part of the organization, right? It's just, it's finding that fine line. It's tricky with the running back and the money and the situation and all that, and how much money you got to guarantee, and how much money you're going to give them early on in the process, and all of that. That's where it's a tough one. But he is vitally important to the Giants and their success. He is that. I know that. And it's one of those, again, like we talked about yesterday, where I'd go, I wouldn't recommend sitting out the year no matter what. I wouldn't do that. But at the same time, he's going to do what's best for him. Hopefully he's going to be in shape, ready to go. But the Giants are not going to be the same football team without Saquon Barkley. I mean, again, some of the runs he made in the playoffs, other games, whatever, they're special. Where you go, there's only a few people in the game that can do what he does, and he was a huge part of why they were efficient on offense last year, and he was, of course, the most dangerous weapon they had on the offense.
All right, we move on now to which doesn't belong and why. We start with the three franchise-tagged running backs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs. Which doesn't belong and why?
I think my mind goes right to Tony Pollard just because he's the one that's not even 100%, right? Jacobs and Barkley, we know what they are. They're top running backs in the game right now, no matter what. Throw them on the field. Pollard's coming off a divisional game broken ankle, and he's the franchise tag running back. How, again, this is a guy that, jamming your ankle into the ground and making sharp cuts like we're watching here in the highlights, right? That's a big part of his game. So, that seems to be the weird one altogether, just as far as what can they expect out of him, especially early in the year, because I have a hard time thinking he's going to be as explosive as he normally is.
I usually like to pick someone else, but I'm going to say him for a different reason.
Okay.
He's the most pragmatic of the three, because it was back in the early days of free agency when we saw what the market was generating for guys like Miles Sanders, who got $6.25 million. He was, I think, the highest paid running back in free agency by the time it was all said and done. He decided, Tony Pollard did, I better take this 10.1. I'm coming off this broken ankle. They can rescind it at any time, and there's no one out there that's going to pay me $10.1 million for 2022. Or 23. I'll take it, and I won't look back. And, we've discussed in recent days whether or not Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley should be concerned about that same outcome, and would they get 10.1 on the open market right now? I don't know. Jacobs would. Barkley probably would. Pollard never would have. He was smart to jump on it when he did, Chris.
Yeah, he was. He did the right thing. You talked about it at the time. That was good on you, especially with that type of injury there, right? And it was his fibula, right? So to Pete wants me, that's not, I guess, specific enough. Producer Pete wants me to make sure exactly. Right. It's his freaking ankle. It's his ankle, Pete. Shut up. We know. Thank you. He broke his damn ankle, right? Some part of those bones. Now, the important part is Where do you pay him? What do you pay these guys? That's what we'll get to that next. I wanted to ask you where you want to pay Saquon Barkley. What do you think's the right number? The sweet spot. What makes sense if you look at what guys are being paid, his value to the Giants? What do you think makes sense for both sides there?
The problem is, once it gets to the franchise tag, the formula is pay him what he's due to make this year and next year. Combine it, fully guarantee it. $22.22 million fully guaranteed the first 2 years. We work out the rest of the details. That works out to, $11 million a year. You can put some phony baloney numbers on the back end to drive up the average if that's important to him. It's a challenge. And he says he doesn't want to reset the market. That's Christian McCaffrey around 15 or 16. But I think it's fair for him to expect 13 or 14 million average with at least 2 years fully guaranteed, maybe some injury guarantee into year 3.
Yeah, right.
Maybe a little full guarantee into year 3 as a goodwill gesture. I don't know. But, I don't. One of the things I hate about the rookie wage scale and the fact that you have a 5th-year option for first-round picks. You squat on a guy for 5 years. Then you get year 6 out of him via the franchise tag at running back. And then you can get a 7th year if you really want one. I mean, for a first-round running back, 5 years and 1 tag, and we move on. And Saquon Barkley, I think, is trying to avoid that outcome. He's trying to avoid that fate where they just pay him $10.1 million for 1 more year, and then they just say, see you later.
Yeah.
Good luck getting paid somewhere else after 6 years of NFL wear and tear.
No, I know. It seems like that. But where I would be willing to make the investment or the risk with the Giants is I don't think this is a guy that's it doesn't look like is coming to an end anytime soon. It's a fairly fresh, explosive, and in some ways, I think the injury actually benefits him a little bit, or he didn't take that year of just the pounding and the wear and tear there. And then it didn't affect him in his explosive ability like we showed in the highlight package before. I mean, he's going 95 yards up the sideline against the Tennessee Titans. So he'd be one where, if I were the Giants, I'd be going, oh, this is the kind of guy that could last, 8-9 years in the NFL. And year 5, 6, and 7 could still be special years. And that's where I might be willing to take the risk. And he's got the work ethic and what he's made of. It might make me feel a little comfortable. The McCaffrey contract and the Kamara contract are the ones that screw everything up, I think, for running backs right now and Saquon Barkley. Like, the Panthers and the Saints overpaid them. They both overpaid them. And I think that makes it hard in this conversation.
The Kamara contract is fugazi on the back end. It's got some ridiculous big bloated number that drives up the average.
Right.
And again, that's what Saquon Barkley could have on the back end of this deal. And nobody cares because the word goes out, it's a $17 million a year deal. Yeah, and it includes a $30 million final year.
Kamara has a $25 million final year, to your point.
Never going to get it.
Right.
Never going to get it.
Yeah.
Right. They put it on there specifically to drive up the average.
Right.
That happens. So the problem with Barkley, though, he's any given year, any given week, given play away from being injured again. And you've invested all that money in a running back that maybe you shouldn't have invested that money in. So it's a tough spot for the Giants. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.